This is the skin of a killer, Bella.
Is this what it'll take?
Is this what you wanted? Is this what it'll take to get the viewer retention above 30 seconds? Is this is what I need to do for you to listen to me? Edward, the brooding, isolated, mysterious, century-old long vampire who can't control his hunger for you as much as he can't control his undying love for you. And Jacob, the charming wolf next door who longs to protect and claim you, no matter what the cost. Today, I will be settling the score of Edward versus Jacob once and for all. Totally unbiased source, by the way. I know that I'm supposed to be Edward Cullen right now, but I kind of just fucking look like I run a TJ Maxx, like the army. Or alternatively, Evil Ellen. Or alternatively, JD from Heathers, perhaps. Let's think about that one. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Hello, my name is Nico, otherwise known as Peach Nico, otherwise known as... You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster? And today I'm going to be talking about the saga that everyone either loves to hate or hates how much they love it, Twilight. But more importantly, the question that certainly you and many others have pondered at some point. Team Edward or Team Jacob? Now, before we get into it, I know it's kind of been a long time since my last video, but I promise I'm trying my best. And if you want to reward me for relentlessly giving in to the cycle of procrastinating because I'm anxious, but being anxious because I'm procrastinating, make sure you like this video and subscribe and comment which team you're rooting for, whether it's Edward or Jacob or perhaps an alternative option. Without further ado, let's sink our fangs.
Oh, bro.
And without further ado, let's sink our fangs into some good cinema. I was lying in bed, awake one night, staring at my Twilight poster, as one does, when I started thinking about how silly the Team Edward versus Team Jacob debate is. I mean, Edward's the obvious choice, right? Like, he did that one thing, and Jacob, he did that other thing that one time. And then I realized that I don't actually really remember too well what happens in Twilight. I mean, the last time that I watched the Twilight Saga must have been, what, at least 2 months ago, so I was definitely due for a rewatch. And I thought I might as well, I don't know, make a comprehensive pros and cons list for Team Edward and Team Jacob to settle the debate once and for all. Now, is it hot in here? Or is it just me? What is this? And before you all start yelling at me, raising up your pitchforks, you're obviously Team Edward. How can we trust that you will be a reliable and unbiased source for this issue that I care so much about and affects my very being? The answer to that, my dear viewer, is that you can't. And I don't really care. And thus, I began my journey. I decided to take notes during each movie whenever there was some kind of dialogue or event going on that I felt made the case for either Edward or Jacob. And then I put them in almost like a pros and cons list and took points for each of them when they did something that I liked, did something that I didn't like. And then at the end, we'll put them all together and decide on a winner. And once all the movies have been thoroughly analyzed and dissected scientifically, of course, by yours truly, we'll finally see once and for all Team Edward or Team Jacob. Now, this process proved to be way harder than I expected because I, like many others, am not able to just sit down and watch a movie without scrolling on Twitter or doing some other brain-dead task. So having to sit there and take notes for the entire movie without my soap-cutting ASMR or my Subway surfers was kind of really fucking hard. So I'm not going to be talking much about like what happens in the movie specifically. Like, I'm not going to be reviewing the movie. I'm just mainly going to be talking about scenes or whatnot that Edward and Jacob themselves are involved in, since this video is about them. So if you haven't seen Twilight yet, which is fucking crazy if you haven't, by the way, because it has the best cinematic moment in history, the baseball scene, go watch it right now and then come back here. Okay, let's get started. So Jacob is the first of the two that we meet, and oh my god, that wig is fucking atrocious. Stiff where? Stiff there, I'm afraid. Stiff here, however, is nowhere to be found. Like, are you telling me that they couldn't get him a better 360, 60-inch human hair lace front? Like, hello? And I know you're thinking that I look nothing like Jacob Black right now, and you would be correct, because I do not, in fact, look like Taylor Lautner. However, what do you expect? I'm afraid you will find me dead before you find me not wearing eyeliner. So this is the first of many bad wigs. Not talking about mine, talking about Jacob's. So I will be keeping track of them from now on. And honestly, just for this crime of a mop on his head, -point for Jacob. Calm down, calm down. I know it's not his fault. Stop booing me. But think about it. If you were Bella, wouldn't you be pissed off seeing this shit? Like, hand the wig over. So during the scene, Jacob gives off a very, like, golden retriever vibe, much like his wig. But I do like it. I enjoy, like, the quirky boy next door energy, so we will be giving him a point for that. One thing I do want to know is that he stares at Bella like a lot during this scene. And I don't know if they like told him to do this or if his brain just kind of like turned off when until it was his turn to speak. Either way, if a man stared at me for this long, I would start thinking that I need to cover my drink around him. So that's -a point for Jacob. He did rebuild an entire engine for Bella, which is kind of a lot more than I can say for Edward. So we will give him a point for that. That's kind of all that happens with Jacob in this scene, so we can just move on. So I can take this fucking wig off. And before we start talking about Edward, can we just take a second to acknowledge how obsessed every single man is with Bella in this movie? Like, okay, I get that she's the quirky self-insert YN, not like other girls' character, but like, have these people just never seen a neurodivergent white woman before? I'm confused. Like, during literally her first day of school, these freaks do nothing but harass and bother her nonstop. Like, no wonder she's obsessed with Edward. The guy wants nothing to do with her at the beginning. And now we meet the Cullens. But before we talk about Edward, Alice, you were so ahead of your time. The outfits, the hair, the twirl, all for her to end up with a man that looks like he was made with cottage cheese and then magically came to life one day. Anyway, we finally see Edward. Tall, brooding, looking slightly constipated. He gets a point for his awkward swag, because I'm a big fan of that. He also, however, likes to stare, much like Jacob. I literally counted how long he was staring at Bella for, and it was 10 seconds. 10 entire seconds. -point. Now, we finally get to the smell scene. Edward gets a big ol' whiff of Bella and acts like she just ripped the whitest, wildest fart known to man. Like, it's so fucking funny how he doesn't even try to hold back his reaction. Like, I think the director straight up just told him, like, act like somebody shat on the table right in front of you. We get some more awkward and uncomfortable staring in the form of a montage. And if you thought that Jacob's staring was bad, this is like restraining order levels of bad. And after just staring at Bella for what I'm assuming is their entire fucking period, he just like storms out. -point for anger issues. Now everybody pause. Because at 13:59 into Twilight 2008, Eyes on Fire by Blue Foundation starts playing and causes a cultural, universal, anatomical reset for everybody on this fucking earth. Next. Edward is way more chill during this scene. He's a little playful, a little quirky, but still kind of cringe fail, you know? And I love it. Bella mentions that she doesn't like any cold, wet thing. And considering what we know about Edward, I got some bad news for her.
Why'd you move to the wettest place in the continental U.S.?
Edward, I might be the wettest place in the continental US, if you know what I'm saying. His contacts in this scene are so fucking funny because it's like, damn girl, we see him.
Golden brown? Yeah, I know. It's the fluorescence.
The way that he just leaves the conversation, like he doesn't even end it, is so fucking funny. Like, I'm gonna start Good afternoon. Are you Nico, otherwise known as Peach Nico, otherwise known as... Yes, that's me. How can I help you, Officer Oxlong? Mike Oxlong. Seems we've received a warrant for your arrest for vehicular manslaughter. Something wrong, officer? Your eyes, they're like a golden brown. Yeah, it's the fluorescence. Anyway, we get some more staring and some incredibly subtle Volvo product placement, and then, oh my god, Bella, watch out! This moment right here. The hand placement. The staring. Good this time. The way that he jumps out from in between the two cars and the music starts. Oh my god. Oh my. I'm the wettest place in the continental US! Point to Edward. So anyway, we cut back to Bella in the hospital where we meet Carlisle Cullen. The doctor is in.
You say daddy's home. Oh, home for me.
Okay, back to Edward, I guess. He proceeds to tell Bella, "You're crazy. I didn't stop that truck with my bare hand even though a bunch of students saw it happen. You're just crazy." And the gaslighting is fucking insane, so I fear we will have to deduce a point for that one. Edward is so fucking edgy in this scene. He's like, "Bella, if you were smart, you'd stay away from me." And then he says this.
I only said it'd be better if we weren't friends, not that I didn't want to be.
Like, it's so cringe, but... Come. I just might. So Jacob finally returns, so we can talk about him, I guess. Nothing of note really happens in this scene, so we're not gonna like go over it too much, but it is really refreshing to see Jacob just like genuinely being a good guy and being interested in Bella and not being as fucking confusing as Edward is. And I'll give him a point for that because I genuinely, rewatching it, I could see how this might have been the better relationship. Rewatching this and knowing who she ends up with, because spoiler alert, it's Edward, sorry. It's weird because you kind of wonder what would have happened if she did end up with Jacob. She probably honestly would have saved herself a lot of trauma, but I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments because it is kind of interesting to think about what would have happened if they did end up together because she was not his claim, like he didn't claim her. So like if they had a kid, would he have... Never mind. Next. The next time that we see Edward is when Bella is getting harassed by a random group of drunk men who are very, very good at acting. And then Edward proceeds to show up and perform a very dangerous maneuver.
That was a very dangerous maneuver.
I know, that's just what I fucking said. Edward then growls, I think, at this group of men, and then that just, like, scares them away. And I'm like... Are you just scared of men with, like, too much product in their hair or something? Like, I don't... So then they drive away, and Edward starts getting very aggressive and possessive, and... So this is when Edward reveals to her that he can read minds. And he says specifically that he can read every mind in that room except for hers. Now, something I've always wondered is like, why her? Like, what makes her special? Are there other humans that are immune to vampire powers? And if so, like, what makes it so that that happens? Is it genetic? Is it just her? If so, like, why is it just her? Spoiler alert, we don't get the answer to any of these questions. But anyway, she literally does not give a fuck that he just told her that he can read minds. Like, she does not care. And I don't know if she was, like, already suspecting that he was not human. Like, okay, duh, you know, like he stopped a fucking truck with his hands. But girl, like, if this was me, I would be fucking running. Like, okay, I get that he's tall and brooding and weird and mysterious and kind of awkward and a little cringe and what were we talking about? So Bella goes home and she starts doing some research because she's like, yeah, this guy's definitely not a fucking person. So then after her little research montage, she decides to confront Edward about his not being a humanness in the middle of the fucking woods alone. Now this part is so funny to me because she's like, you're pale white and ice cold. You speak like you're from a different time. Like, girl, that's just a drainer. That's just a Destroy Lonely fan. So then Bella asks Edward, how old are you? And Edward proceeds to say 17. 17. Like 1-7. Like 17. 17? We are supposed to believe that this man is 7 fucking teen? Fucking teen. Well, actually, he might be. Like, if I had seen this man at my prom, I would be fucking scared. I would be like, that's Daff. Bitch, that's the principal. And as I was watching this, I was kind of wondering, why not college? Like, why did they have to do high school? Why make them 17? You know what I mean? Because it makes Edward really fucking weird that he's this immortal entity. He's literally 104 years old. And you're telling me he wouldn't, I don't know, date someone who's also a vampire? Or, I don't know, someone who's not 17? Minus points for that. This might be Drake's prodigy. So then we get to the iconic scene of Edward in the sun. Now, I know a lot of people bag on this scene because they're like, why the fuck did they make them sparkly instead of making them, like, burn in the sun like every other portrayal of vampires? But I think it's camp. Like, I think this is good. And some people wouldn't understand that. Like, I personally think he would have been fine, at least nowadays, walking around in the sun because this is literally what I look like after I use the Fenty Body Lava. But this gets a point for me. Edward then jumps around a little bit.
I wanted to kill you.
I wanted to kill you? But you see, like, I keep talking about how insane Bella is for this. Like, why the fuck does she keep choosing him over and over after everything that's happened so far? But, like, I kind of get it, you know? Like, I would kind of do the same. And I know some of you would too. You would do the same. So we see Jacob again for like the 3rd time or whatever, and quite literally nothing happens, so we're not even going to talk about it. The list is looking awfully empty for Jacob this movie, I fear. Edward then takes Bella to meet his family and their fucking house? Point to Edward. Everybody pause, because I would literally date him just so I could come to this house. So we get to meet Edward's family, and the fucking hairline on Esme in this scene is so funny. Because, like, you're telling me that they couldn't put any of that actual drywall foundation a little bit on her forehead? Like, what the fuck is going on here? That's wig number 2. So then Edward shows Bella around his house, and they proceed to address the concern that I had earlier about them being in high school instead of college.
The younger we start out in a new place, the longer we can stay there.
And I don't know if I'm stupid or something, but this does not convince me. Like, I don't give a fuck. There is no way in hell that these people are passing as high schoolers. I just, like, don't really understand the justification, because the amount that you physically change from high school to college is way more than the amount you change from, like, college onward. You know what I mean? Because you're going, like, through puberty and stuff. Especially if they already looked like that. Like, I would just not believe it. Okay, I think I'm reading, like, way too deep into it. But they do some more crawling. And then this iconic song starts playing. So moving on, Edward decides to break and enter and then openly admit that he likes watching Bella sleep. And this immediately turns her the fuck on. They proceed to have the most awkward makeout session and literally just like breathe into each other's mouths. Edward has to stop himself from literally creaming in his trousers. And then we get some weirdly shot B-roll. But everyone shut up. Everyone shut the fuck up. Everyone shut up! Because we now get the best scene in cinematic history. Fuck Mario's realistic depiction of an anxiety attack. We get the baseball scene! Fuck The Godfather. Fuck Fight Club. Fuck Pulp Fiction. Supermassive black hole starts playing. You cut me under false pretenses. How long before you let me go? Alice pitching her iconic, legendary cunty pitch. Motherly hitting the ball as lightning strikes behind her. Carlisle saying nice kitty. Like, I'm literally about to fucking throw up. I'm gonna fucking throw up. This scene is unfortunately cut short by Laurent and two other people I don't give a fuck about. And much like every other man in this movie, fuck-ass Ponytail over here is obsessed with Bella after catching a whiff of her stench. So now she has to leave so that he doesn't fucking kill her. And I've said it a million times, and I will say it again. It is wild to me that she stays with Edward after this. So anyway, skip. Fuck-ass Bun gets demolished by Edward. And a kind of homoerotic fight scene, not gonna lie. But oh no! Bella was bit by Chris Hemsworth! Whatever will we do? Edward decides to suck the venom out of Bella so that she is not doomed to the everlasting torture of eternal life. So, point to him for that. We cut to her in the hospital, and Edward's like, you have to move. You have to move away so I can't hurt you anymore. And Bella's like, no, you can't just, you can't make me, I'm not leaving. Was that good? And then Edward's like, oh, you make a good point. All right. So then we get to the final event, the prom scene. We get another Jacob cameo. And he appears from the forest for some fucking reason with that stupid dumbass mop on his head. Just to tell Bella, my dada paid me to come here and tell you not to date Edward because I think that you should be dating me. Bella's like, no. And then Edward just leaves. And okay, this is like a small detail that I noticed on actually only this watch through, but Edward picks Bella up so that she doesn't have to go up literally like 2 steps in her cast. And some people would say that this is like an invasion of privacy, you know, and a lack of boundaries regarding personal space. But I am not some people. I think that this is literally one of, if not the only fucking sweet thing that Edward does in this entire movie. I will give him 1 point for that. They end up slow dancing in this cute little gazebo outside where 2 other couples hurriedly make their exit because the director said so. And then Flightless Bird by American Mouth starts playing. Another Twilight certified classic. Bella's like, Edward, why the fuck did you save me from becoming a vampire? And Edward's like, because I don't want to help you end your own life. And Bella's like, yeah, well, every second I'm just getting older. Which you'd think Edward would have a problem with that because, you know, he loves dating high schoolers. Like, oh, yeah, who said that? Cut the cameras. And Edward's like, well, yeah, that's it's kind of how life works. And Bella's like, yeah, well, okay, I'm ready to become a vampire. Edward literally fucking edges her by like pretending to bite her, and then he just doesn't. So then they dance the night away. And we cut to Victoria watching them from afar, signaling that she will be returning for revenge in the sequel. We never see this actress again. I don't like any cold, wet thing. Well, did it give the cottagecore fairy coquette dark academia Lana Del Rey that it needed to give? Or what? On Jacob's side, we have -1 point because of that wig. Then we gave him a point for his quirkiness. Then we took away another point for the incessant creepy staring. Then we gave him another point for building Bella an engine, which is kind of a lot more than what Edward did during this movie. Then we gave him 1 final point for the bare minimum of being sweet to Bella and not being confusing or gaslighty. And that comes out to a grand total of 1 point for Jacob. So first, I gave him a point for his awkward loser vibe. Then minus a point for staring at Bella for quite literally 10 seconds straight. Then we took another point away for his anger issues, like you're over 100 years old, you should have worked that through by now. Then we gave him another point for saving Bella from death by truck, and also for the toe-curling manner in which he did save her. Or me, I guess. But then we had to take that shit right back because he proceeded to gaslight Bella and make her think that she was crazy and that nobody was going to believe her, even though there were countless eyewitnesses. Anyway, I took away another point from him for dating a literal high schooler at his prehistoric age. Then we gave him another point just for being sparkly. Then I gave him another point for having a sick-ass fucking house. And we gave him finally one more point for refusing to turn Bella into an immortal and not dooming her to the everlasting torment of eternal life. Edward comes out to a grand total of also 1 point.
So, I'm editing right now, and I'm fucking stupid because I forgot that I gave him one more point after this. So he actually has 2 points and not 1. So Edward won. They did not tie. Sorry, guys. I don't know how to count properly. I dropped out of college, in case you couldn't tell. So
I was actually really surprised that this turned out in a tie. I was fully expecting this to be an Edward sweep. However, I guess not showing up in the movie much just gives you, like, less chances to fuck up. I guess Edward and Jacob are tied for now. We're also at a total of 2 bad wigs so far, not including any of mine. But if I missed any, please let me know. And if there are any points that you feel like you would have given or taken away personally, also let me know. What the fuck does she say? I never gave much thought to how I would die.
And that's gonna be it for this video. I really think that this shit turned out way longer than necessary, but I do hope that it was a fun watch for you guys, and I hope that the agony of watching me have to dress up was worth it.
But I did want to take a moment to say that I took a lot of inspiration from Mike's Mike and Jenny Nicholson. In case you couldn't tell, their videos are fucking amazing. I love them. I've watched every single one of their videos. So if you haven't seen them yet, please go check them out. Like, please, you will not regret it. Please make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. It means the world to me. Subscribe if you think that I should be hit in the head with hammers. And also share this video with your friends to jump scare them with wasian Edward Cullen. Also make sure to follow all my socials. I have Instagram, Twitter. I also have TikTok, but like, who cares? That will be in the description. It will be there along with some resources to help the people in Palestine. There are little things that you can do that will go a long way. Just doing what you can every day helps.
And now, please enjoy my rendition of Eyes on Fire by Blue Foundation.